The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Aspire Counseling Services. Call 829-7300.
59 degrees at 7 a.m., putting a 50% chance of those showers. And then throughout the afternoon, we're going to back off a little bit. But then by Friday, we start to see a resurgence of moisture move on into the area. So it's going to be hit and miss throughout the day in terms of where these showers are. 48 degrees on the temperature for Tehachapi right now. You have an east-southeast wind at 5. I do expect a windy afternoon for you. And as we take a look at the overall forecast, you can see a chance of those showers and even maybe a few isolated thunderstorms this afternoon as well. And temperatures go down into the 40s by noontime and then right back up by 3 o'clock. So your temperatures are going to be kind of up and down throughout the day as well.
5:02 now. The search for the missing McFarland city manager continues this morning. Bakersfield police say they're investigating the suspicious disappearance of John Lunar. This is video of Lunar from an interview we did with him last summer. Police say Lunar was last seen Tuesday night around 5:30 at Hillcrest Cemetery. BPD says the 57-year-old's considered missing under suspicious circumstances. McFarland Mayor Manuel Cantu tells 17 News Lunar finished his workday around 5 o'clock Tuesday night, and no one at City Hall noticed anything unusual. Lunar was wearing a white dress shirt and khaki pants. He was last seen driving a silver Dodge Durango with California license plate number 1390353. Anyone with information on his whereabouts should call Bakersfield Police at 327-7111.
A man is behind bars this morning in connection with the deadly stabbing in central Bakersfield. Police say they received a call for a man down in a parking lot in the 300 block of Union Avenue around 2 p.m. yesterday. Officers found the man in his 50s dead, suffering from apparent stab wounds. They later arrested 66-year-old James Jordan for homicide. BPD says Jordan and the victim got into an argument that quickly escalated. Jordan is being held without bail and is set to appear in court tomorrow. BPD hasn't released the name of the victim.
Cal Fire's officially blamed a utility giant for the deadliest wildfire in state history. The campfire sparked last November in Butte County, devastating the town of Paradise and killing 85 people. The fire had 2 starting points in the Pulga area. Cal Fire says it determined PG&E transmission lines sparked one fire, which then merged with a fire that started earlier. PG&E says it has not reviewed the investigators' report, but last month conceded it was probable its equipment sparked the campfire. The utility faces lawsuits in the wake of the fire and others in the past 2 years. After back-to-back devastating fire seasons, Kern County Fire wants to give people a reminder to be ready. In the last 30 days, county fires responded to more than 60 grass fires, which burned more than 3,000 acres. Firefighters are staying proactive in the community, and they want you to do the same. Kern County Fire Department crews are working to reduce fire risk by clearing brush, removing dead trees in the mountains, and creating fuel breaks. But firefighters need your help. KCDFD is asking people to clear brush around their homes and property by June 1st.
President Trump is expected to unveil his new immigration plan in the White House Rose Garden this afternoon. White House officials describe a system for new arrivals they say will be more fair and clear. The new proposal includes 2 parts: border wall construction financed by new fees on trade collected at the border, plus a revamped point system for those applying for U.S. citizenship. But the plan doesn't address dreamers, young undocumented immigrants who arrived in the country as children or undocumented migrants already here in the U.S. We'll break down the proposed plan more in depth coming up in about 24 minutes.
5:05 now. A big chunk of change is going toward helping improve air quality in the San Joaquin Valley. Congressman T.J. Cox announced the Environmental Protection Agency is giving a $1.4 million grant to the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District. That money will go toward helping improve air quality to reduce risk to human health and the environment. The congressman says the San Joaquin Valley faces some of the toughest air quality challenges in the nation.
You know, and unfortunately, we're going to start to see the air quality become worse as we progress into the summer months. So that's some good news there for sure.
Absolutely. We need it, and we can all do our part to carpool when we can, drive a little less.
Reduce the impact,
Hi, I'm Scott with Aspire. I want to personally thank Kern County for trusting Aspire with being a part of your family's recovery. At Aspire Counseling Services, we take this opportunity very seriously and would be honored for your continued support. Call us today.
It's a mental and physical health crisis in first responders, taking its toll for years.
But research and actions are just beginning to surface. 17's Tabitha Mills joining us with an in-depth look at post-traumatic stress disorder in first responders.
That's right. Good morning, Maddie and Alex. In the last decade, what we know about PTSD in first responders has grown dramatically. We now know the importance of mental wellness, and the city of Bakersfield is on the cutting edge of the crucial health movement.
Oh my God, my sister's here! Oh.
We see some of the most terrible and horrific things.
Oh my God! I'm afraid my son's dying. Please help me.
We hear people take their last breath. We hear mothers that wake up and find their child not breathing. We have our firefighters that go into burning buildings and get hurt, and we have to listen to that.
Structure fire, possibly with an infant trapped.
We're supposed to react. We're not supposed to panic.
I just shot my wife.
You just shot your wife?
She's in bad shape.
You said you just shot your wife?
I did, ma'am. Yes.
Is she alive?
She needs help. Please, get her an ambulance.
It's the nature of their job.
They have to respond to incidents where, unfortunately, a death has occurred. That's a pretty normal experience for them. And so they start to kind of pull away from the human side of it, and they have to as a protective factor.
Call after call.
We all pick up scoops of gunpowder.
Continuous exposure to the horrific parts of life.
That can be that thing that sparks it off.
Moral-bending scenes.
Lots of us are raised with that just world belief that good things happen to good people, bad things happen to bad people, but then we start to experience those things. You know, we see where bad things happen to good people.
It takes a toll. It impacts our first responders' mental and physical health.
One of the biggest questions I always received when I was a firefighter going through the ranks was, have I ever delivered a baby? And the exciting thing is, yes, I've delivered 12 babies throughout my career, but that times 3 or 4, and those are the amount of babies that were stillborn. Some that were crack babies, some that were when they were delivered or put in our arms because they weren't breathing, pulseless, and we had to do CPR on. Those are the difficult times.
As recently as 10 years ago, post-traumatic stress disorder in first responders wasn't talked about.
From a police chief standpoint, what I can tell you is I saw far too many careers that were ended way too early because we did not take care of people and give them the things that they needed to cope and deal with these things.
Bakersfield is now at the forefront of the conversation.
They're my firefighters. I care about each and every one of them, and it's my job to make sure that each and every one of our firefighters are going to go be physically fit, but also mentally fit, and that's important to me.
The reality is, if we don't take care of our people, how can I expect them to go out into the public and take care of you?
The department's working closely with experts in the field. Experts like Tina Casola, a first responder trauma specialist with First Alarm Wellness.
PTSD is not just I was afraid. If we only think about it from that kind of perspective, we limit people's ability or want to go get help, right? It stigmatizes it. I'm weak. You know, if I was afraid, then I'm weak. And so most of our people, certainly our first responders, aren't willing to raise their hand real quick and say, hey, you know, I need help because I'm weak.
Casola works to identify changes in behavior in city police and firefighters in hopes to identify and treat PTSD at its source.
PTSD is not what we see on the movies and TV. It can be, you know, I can slam my hand on the table, make a loud noise, and people will startle. Some people might take cover. And that's classically what we see on TV. Mostly it's changes in the way we're interacting in the world around us.
Signs of PTSD include isolation, emotional numbness, an increase or decrease in sleep, avoidance of people, places, or things that are reminders of trauma.
Once we've experienced trauma, we kind of tend to try to avoid those things that trigger us into thinking or feeling that way.
Other signs include extreme worry, guilt, anger, anxiousness, or hopelessness, problems with alcohol, drugs, or food, and loss of interest in things that once gave pleasure, picking up extra shifts at work, or an eagerness to work overtime.
There's a need to kind of keep our minds busy. That keeps the hamster on the wheel and it keeps us distracted.
Another identifier for Casola that most overlook, incomplete paperwork.
When you're writing descriptions of disaster scenes or accidents and you're putting people's names down and ages and all that, that's stuff that we don't want to think about. It's easy to run from call to call and kind of be operational, but when I have to be more intimate with the details, that's risky.
If you notice any of these symptoms in a first responder,
the first line of defense is having conversation.
And tomorrow on 17 News at Sunrise, I'll share Casola's advice on how to have that conversation, even when it may be hard. And if you know of a first responder who may be in need of help, there is a self-diagnosis questionnaire on our website, as well as a list of resources, including numbers to call. Just go to KGET.com. Tabitha Mills, 17 News.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Aspire Counseling Services. Call 829-7300.